Much of the war at sea was decided far from the spotlight. RAF Coastal Command guarded sea lanes, hunted submarines, and attacked enemy shipping across vast distances, where endurance and reliability mattered more than speed. To meet these demands, Coastal Command operated a wide and often overlooked range of aircraft, many adapted out of necessity. To understand how this mission evolved, we begin with the earliest aircraft pressed into coastal service at the outbreak of war. Avro Anson. The Avro Anson formed the backbone of Coastal Command at the outbreak of war. Originally designed for training and light reconnaissance, it was adapted for maritime patrol due to a lack of suitable aircraft. Limited range and armament reduced its effectiveness, but it maintained continuous coastal coverage during the critical early months. Vickers Wildebeest. The Wildebeest was already obsolete by 1939, yet it remained in service out of necessity. Slow and vulnerable, it was employed for patrol and torpedo duties in secondary theaters, highlighting Coastal Command's initial lack of modern maritime aircraft. Hawker Hector. The Hector served briefly in coastal reconnaissance roles. Intended for Army cooperation, it lacked endurance and payload, making it unsuitable for sustained maritime operations and only a temporary measure. Supermarine Stranraer. The Stranraer flying boat provided extended patrol capability in northern waters. Although outdated, its endurance made it useful for early reconnaissance and convoy escort duties. Short Singapore. The Singapore was a pre-war flying boat retained into the early stages of the conflict. Its long range supported patrol missions, but its aging design and maintenance demands quickly limited its operational value. As these aircraft proved increasingly inadequate, Coastal Command transitioned toward designs with greater range, payload, and survivability. Lockheed Hudson. The Hudson was the first truly modern aircraft to enter Coastal Command service. With greater range, speed, and payload than earlier types, it allowed effective patrols farther from the British coastline. The Hudson played a key role in early anti-submarine operations and was responsible for some of Coastal Command's first confirmed U-boat kills. Lockheed Ventura. The Ventura was introduced as a more powerful successor to the Hudson. Faster and heavier, it offered improved performance but proved demanding to operate at low altitude over the sea. While effective in strike and patrol roles, it required experienced crews and careful handling in maritime conditions. Martin Baltimore. The Baltimore served primarily in coastal patrol and reconnaissance roles in secondary theaters. Designed as a light bomber, it was adapted for maritime duties where its range and reliability could be used effectively, though it never became a core Coastal Command aircraft. Bristol Blenheim, coastal variants. Blenheim aircraft were adapted for coastal patrol and anti-shipping work during the early war years. Limited range and vulnerability reduced their effectiveness, but they filled an important gap until more suitable maritime aircraft became available. Ferry Battle, limited coastal use. The Ferry Battle saw brief use in coastal reconnaissance roles. Designed as a light bomber, it lacked the endurance and survivability needed for sustained maritime patrol and was quickly withdrawn from frontline coastal duties. As operations pushed deeper into the Atlantic, these aircraft proved that short-range patrol was no longer sufficient, forcing Coastal Command to rely increasingly on long-range maritime aircraft. Short Sunderland. The Sunderland became one of Coastal Command's most important aircraft. Its long range, heavy defensive armament, and ability to operate for extended periods over the ocean made it well-suited to anti-submarine patrols. The Sunderland could locate, attack, and shadow U-boats far from land, playing a decisive role in the Battle of the Atlantic. Consolidated Catalina. The Catalina offered exceptional endurance, allowing patrols lasting many hours over open water. Its ability to land on the sea made it valuable for reconnaissance, rescue, and anti-submarine work. Although lightly armed, its range filled critical gaps where other aircraft could not reach. Consolidated Liberator, GR variants. The Liberator transformed long-range maritime patrol. With greater speed, altitude performance, and payload than flying boats, it closed the so-called mid-Atlantic gap, where U-boats previously operated with relative safety. Its introduction significantly reduced Allied shipping losses. Vickers-Wellington coastal variants. The Wellington was adapted from a bomber into an effective maritime patrol aircraft. Fitted with radar and depth charges, it provided a reliable platform for night patrols and convoy escort, especially in coastal and mid-range Atlantic operations. Handley Page Halifax coastal variants. Halifax aircraft were converted for long-range patrol late in the war. Their size and payload allowed them to carry advanced detection equipment and heavier anti-submarine weapons, expanding Coastal Command's reach as U-boat threats evolved. Armstrong Whitworth Whitley coastal variants. The Whitley served in early long-range patrol roles before more capable aircraft became available. Slow but stable, it provided endurance at a time when few alternatives existed, supporting anti-submarine operations during a critical transitional period. As Coastal Command gained the ability to locate submarines at range, attention shifted toward aircraft designed to strike enemy shipping directly. Bristol Beaufort. The Beaufort was Coastal Command's primary torpedo bomber during the early and middle years of the war. Designed specifically for maritime strike, it attacked enemy shipping in heavily defended waters. High losses reflected the danger of low-level torpedo attacks, but the Beaufort established Coastal Command's offensive role against surface targets. Bristol Beaufighter. The Beaufighter became one of the most effective strike aircraft used by Coastal Command. Fast, heavily armed, and rugged, it was well suited to low-level attacks against shipping, escorts, and coastal installations. Rocket-armed variants proved particularly destructive in anti-shipping operations. De Havilland Mosquito Coastal Command variants. The Mosquito brought speed and precision to maritime strike operations. Its ability to attack at low altitude with bombs or rockets made it difficult to intercept. In Coastal Command service, it was used to disrupt shipping and strike targets along enemy coastlines with high accuracy. Handley Page Hampton torpedo role. Originally a bomber, the Hampton was adapted for torpedo attack in Coastal Command service. Its narrow fuselage and limited defensive armament made operations hazardous, but it provided an early torpedo capability before more suitable aircraft became available. As anti-shipping operations matured, Coastal Command also relied on aircraft adapted from naval cooperation roles to support patrol and strike missions. Fairey Swordfish. The Swordfish was one of the oldest aircraft still in frontline service, yet it remained effective in Coastal Command roles. Its slow speed allowed accurate low-level attacks and mine-laying missions, and it proved particularly useful in anti-submarine operations from coastal bases and escort duties. Fairey Albacore. The Albacore was introduced as a more modern replacement for the Swordfish. While offering better performance and crew comfort, it retained similar operational roles, including patrol, torpedo attack, and support of maritime operations in coastal waters. Fairey Barracuda. The Barracuda saw limited late-war use within Coastal Command. Designed primarily for naval aviation, it was adapted for maritime patrol and strike duties, though its impact remained small compared to other aircraft in service. Although these aircraft were not originally intended for long-range patrol, their adaptability allowed Coastal Command to maintain operational coverage where purpose-built types were unavailable. Short Sunderland. Beyond its combat role, the Sunderland became central to air-sea rescue operations. Its ability to land on open water allowed crews to recover survivors from downed aircraft and sunk ships, often under hostile conditions. This dual role made it one of Coastal Command's most versatile aircraft. Short Empire. Originally a civilian flying boat, the Short Empire was adapted for patrol and air-sea rescue duties. Its long range and seaworthiness made it useful for search operations, particularly in areas where endurance mattered more than armament. Supermarine Walrus. The Walrus served as a general-purpose maritime aircraft used for reconnaissance, patrol, and rescue missions close to shore. Its amphibious design allowed operation from both land and water, making it valuable in confined coastal areas. Supermarine Sea Otter. The Sea Otter was a later development of the Walrus, offering improved performance and reliability. It was used primarily for air-sea rescue and coastal patrol tasks toward the end of the war, As Coastal Command expanded its mission set, it also evaluated aircraft not originally designed for maritime warfare, adapting them to meet emerging operational needs. Boeing Fortress I/decisive. Early versions of the Fortress were evaluated by Coastal Command for long-range anti-submarine patrol. Although they offered high-altitude performance and long range, limitations in detection equipment and operational suitability meant their use remained experimental. The trials nonetheless contributed to later improvements in maritime patrol tactics. Douglas Digby. The Digby was the Canadian-built version of the Douglas B-18 and was used by RAF units operating in cooperation with Canadian forces. Adapted for maritime patrol, it supported anti-submarine and reconnaissance duties in the Western Atlantic during the early stages of the war. Airspeed Oxford. Primarily a training aircraft, the Oxford saw limited operational use in secondary coastal roles. Its presence reflected the demand placed on available aircraft during periods of transition, rather than suitability for sustained maritime operations. By the end of the war, Coastal Command had operated one of the most diverse collections of aircraft in the RAF, shaped by necessity, experimentation, and operational experience, rather than doctrine alone. RAF Coastal Command relied on aircraft that were rarely celebrated, but were essential to the outcome of the war at sea. From early stopgap patrol aircraft to long-range maritime bombers, strike aircraft, flying boats, and experimental types, each design reflected a specific operational need rather than prestige or performance on paper. Together, these aircraft closed the Atlantic gaps, protected convoys, attacked enemy shipping, and sustained control of Britain's sea lanes. This channel examines military equipment from a technical and historical perspective. Related material is available elsewhere on the channel. You can continue with a related documentary using the selection on screen.